how are we supposed to argue against such a great economy? Really, dude? Really? President Trump loves to brag about the state of the economy.
And why not? It's doing great.
But as I've pointed out a million times before, he's using absolutely horrendous indicators. So he likes to talk about the stock market, for example. That's not a good reflection of how your average person is doing.
Tell it to the people looking at their IRAs and for the first time in a decade feel like they have a shot at a decent retirement.
That's a good reflection of how the rich and corporations are doing. And the fucked up thing is, when the stock market tanks, everybody feels the pain. When the stock market rises, it really is only good for the rich and for corporations. It's no reflection of how the average person is doing. So he points out the stock market, and he's clueless that we're in a giant bubble and it's all going to come crashing down.
That sounds familiar.
I feel like the bottom has to fall out at some point. And by the way, I'm hoping for it, because I think one way you get rid of Trump is a crashing economy.
Well, granted, it's true that Trump's tariff talks have caused the stock market to take a bit of a turn. That's not what Kyle here's talking about. Kyle's talking about a 2008-like recession, but he fails to grasp the most important reason why that's not likely to happen. And it is the tax cuts. In 2008, the housing market was booming. This was built on banks lending money to people who couldn't pay it back, encouraged by promises from the federal government to cover their ass if things went south. Well, a lot of those debts went south, not surprisingly. And when the government tried to cover their ass, the debt cascaded downward, pushed Fannie and Freddie Mac into insolvency, and crashed the entire financial system. The difference this time around, Trump cut the corporate tax rates massively. This means you have millions, if not billions of dollars free to reinvest. That reinvestment of real wealth, not debt, drives the growth we've been seeing. So, unlike in 2008, when growth was pushed by debt and easy money, now we actually have a growth spurred by real wealth. Debt collapses, real wealth doesn't. And this is why a recession is not likely. It's certainly not like 2008. You can also tell there's real wealth in the market because the Fed has already raised interest rates multiple times, and we're still seeing growth well north of 3%. This is what a healthy, growing economy looks like, and the left can't help but doomsay and hope for a 2008 recession. It's amazing.
But I digress. And then he also talks about the unemployment rate. Now, again, terrible indicator, because what that doesn't take into account is what kind of jobs are being created. And of course, what we have is mostly low-wage jobs that are replacing previously higher-paying jobs that were pre-recession jobs from 2008, from pre-2008.
So your criticism is the jobs coming back under Trump aren't as good as the jobs that left in 2008. So the same criticism could be leveled against Obama as well. But this is a misnomer, because falling unemployment rates are good in general because it lets people get back to work. They can start earning a living. And you know what? If there are a lot of jobs being created, those people might be able to pick up a part-time job on the side that they didn't have before. They might find other ways to augment their income, and all of a sudden, they're making more money than they did before.
So let's take a look at a better indicator. Let's look at the official numbers for wages. On Tuesday, the Bureau of Labor Statistics issued a new release detailing the real earnings summary through May 2018. The true revelation was tucked away at the bottom of the release, in the production and non-supervisory employees section. From May 2017 to May 2018, real average hourly earnings decreased 0.1%, seasonally adjusted. In today's dollars, that's a change from making an average of $22.62 per hour last May to making $22.59 per hour this May.
So 3 cents difference. Now I know my wage went up $1, and these businesses are not cutting employees' wages. So there must be something else going on here. What might that be? Let's see.
The report continued, the decrease in real average hourly earnings combined with a 0.6% increase in the average work week resulted in a 0.5% increase in real average weekly earnings over this period. In other words, people are working a few more hours a week, so they're taking home more pay, but only marginally. So, massively misleading.
Yes, your statistics are, and I'll explain to you why they are when you get to it, but we'll see.
Massively misleading when he brags about, oh, the economy's doing wonderful, it's doing tremendous. Sometimes he even goes as far as to say, wages are up. Now, it depends how you measure it, but according to some measurements, it's up in the sense that it keeps up with COLA, the cost of living adjustment, which means it's not really up, because it's effectively the same amount. And then measuring it other ways, it's not up. So
what you're saying is, it's up. So you have 2 lines. One is wages. The other is cost of living. They're both moving upward. So you would say the line representing wages is going up. In fact, you just said the cost of living is going up and wages are matching it, which means wages would be going up. You certainly wouldn't say, let's put it the other way. No, people say the cost of living is rising, but it's not really. It's keeping up with wages, so it's pretty much the same, right? So cost of living isn't rising. You see how that's the dishonest way to phrase it, not the way Trump phrases it? And so now that we see the wages are rising, undeniably, why is cost of living rising? Well, that has nothing to do with tax cuts, with deregulation, with any of Trump's policies. It's actually a result of, guess what? The Fed. It's the Fed's policies that lead to the inflation that is driving that cost of living upward.
listen, man, he's a cheerleader for himself.
As are all politicians, your point?
That's what he is. And don't get me wrong, he's a fantastic cheerleader for himself. Nobody makes their own case better than Donald Trump makes his own case. That's why he tries to brag every day on Twitter.
And why you guys are losing.
As if everything's hunky-dory. The thing that frustrates me, and the thing that's become very obvious to me, is the Democrats appear totally defenseless. They don't know how to fight back. They're just utterly clueless. You know, obviously Bernie Sanders points out stuff like income inequality, for example.
Read communism.
But you don't... Other Democrats have literally spoken to the media about how they're flummoxed. And they're like, how are we supposed to argue against such a great economy?
Yeah, that dumb expression encapsulates the Democratic Party right now.
Really, dude? Really? So, the propaganda is strong, and the propaganda is powerful, and the Democrats are dumb, and they're also corporatist in their own respect.
Whoops, almost lost the plot there. Do we like the Democrats, or are they corporatist shills? I can't remember. Hard to keep straight, huh? Well, you are on the Young Turks channel, so you better not say anything too bad about the corporate Democrats.
So, listen, here's the thing. Even though the situation for regular people is dire, and it's not great right now.
It's getting better every day, and I don't know a lot of normal people who might describe their situation as dire. Certainly not any more dire than it was when Obama was in office. I mean, as you said, those jobs coming back are worse than they were before 2008. And Obama was smack dab right there.
Wages have been stagnating since the 1980s. Income inequality is at a record high.
Don't care about income inequality. Talk to me about poverty. I do not care how much richer Bill Gates is than me. I care how many people aren't eating or don't have roofs over their heads. Income inequality is a fancy way to say communism. I don't want to hear about it. Move on. Come up with a real problem.
even though that's the case, if the stock market doesn't crash,
It won't. I explained why. We have real growth this time around. But keep praying for the bottom to fall out and those average people's dire situation to get more dire. That is exactly what the country needs.
So please, bring on the recession. Sorry if that hurts people.
and Donald Trump keeps making his case, and the Democrats don't get their shit together, there is a chance he gets reelected.
Oh, it's much better than a chance, my friend. Much better than a chance. I hope that keeps you up at night.
And that's not something you hear many commentators say, but I'm saying it, and I'm warning you far, far in advance. But if the economy crashes, totally different situation.
And if I shit a dog, right?
But even with with the stock market doing well, and the unemployment rate low, the Democrats could still easily defeat him if they knew these facts and how to counter-argue properly.
You mean how to distort the facts about rising wages in a way that you get to say cost of living is going up but wages aren't, even though that's a bold-faced lie.
But naturally, they don't know how to counter-argue properly. So here we are, where it's a question moving into future elections.
Yeah, that was a demonstration of economic illiteracy. The left does not understand economics. They haven't for 100 years. The left has a great habit of doomsaying, and 2008 comes back so often, it's funny. They don't understand the difference between debt creating growth and wealth creating growth. And I do believe this goes all the way back to the disagreements Hayek and Keynes had. Keynes saw money moving as a good thing. He didn't really care where that money came from or how it got there. He just wanted money moving. Hayek and the Austrians, the Chicago School, the Friedmanites, they understand growth isn't a bad thing. Growth is a very good thing, but it must happen through the investment of real wealth, not through debt. It creates wealth if you plant an extra tree to grow more apples. It does not create wealth if you borrow money to plant that tree and then they have to tear it out of the ground when you can't pay back your debt. That is not wealth creation. That is what happened in 2008. We have real wealth flowing into the market for the first time in 10 years, and we're seeing growth because of it. We have a president who's willing to deregulate and get out of the business's way, and we're seeing growth because of it. Unemployment is falling, wages are rising, and generally almost no one at this point can argue the economic outlook is dim, but you're happy too. We are the Republic's walls. They will have to come and take it.